Yes, it's PSG 4, Atletico Madrid 0. Taking a look at what that means in the group. Obviously quite the statement from PSG. Later tonight, Botafogo taking on Seattle Sounders in the other game. For more on this, for some reason they're dressed alike. I've no idea why. Frank Leboeuf joins us, as does Julien Laurent. Jules, back like you never left.
Yeah, and PSG as impressive as they showed in 2025, really. It was a game that was probably over at halftime. They were very dominant, very good with the ball, controlling the pace of the game. The kickoff was at 12 on the West Coast, so really early. It was already very hot. And considering they had 0 holidays for most of that squad, really, since the season ended domestically, I thought they showed really good resilience and physicality in the first half. The second half was under control anyway, but the first half I thought was really impressive.
Were you surprised how good they were, Frank?
Well, I was surprised because I thought, because winning of the Champions League and winning everything in a domestic way would have allowed them to enjoy and to celebrate it. But I have to say, as Jules mentioned, they played at noon on the West Coast, very, very high temperature, and they did the job. They were fit, they were sharp, in very good shape, and showed a lot of seriousness in their job. So I was very impressed with their performances, and they've been absolutely good. They've been the champion that they showed when they won the Champions League. Their level didn't drop at all.
Big contributing factor, Shaq, as to whether or not this competition will be a success will people turn out and watch it?
Yeah.
And how seriously are these teams going to take it? Well, I'll tell you what, PSG putting out this lineup sets a statement, doesn't it? And for a neutral's point of view, it's got to be great for this tournament.
Without question. Listen, I had a whole lot of cynicism around this tournament, yet so far, to your point, Dan, we've seen good crowds, we've seen impressive games of football, and I'll double down on what both Jules and Frank said, certainly about PSG. They looked incredibly good against Atletico Madrid. Now, maybe you could make the argument that Atleti could have turned it up a gear. We can't really see exactly how they're approaching this.
No, I think they're approaching it seriously, Shaq. I think out of the teams that are in,
right,
I don't know why you're trying to discredit this PSG victory.
No.
That's what it sounds like.
No, but that's because you cut me off, Dan. What my point here is, as good as PSG looked, or as dominant as PSG looked against Atletico Madrid, maybe Atleti could have taken it up a gear, but I don't think there's any doubt that PSG could have done the same. And that for me is, as Frank was pointing out, kind of given how PSG finished this season, you wondered if they come into this tournament and think, well, we have to build up a little bit slowly. But there was no real sign that PSG let their levels drop. As I said, you probably could make a better argument that they could take it up a gear. And that's kind of speaking to how good PSG has been all calendar year long. And credit to them, credit to Luis Enrique and their approach to this tournament, because that, for me, was some performance. Atleti were better in the second half, but still, even being better, PSG never really lost control.
It was interesting, wasn't it, looking at the bookies ahead of this, Jules? Manchester City, Real Madrid, I think were both ahead of PSG, and you kind of think, well, this is a team that just won the Champions League at a canter, and they've put out a statement once again today, really, saying we are the team to beat in this tournament.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, today there was no Ousmane Dembele, for example, who arguably is this team's best player, and even without him, Gonzalo Ramos is a different profile, different type of number 9, of course, but you saw how well he linked up the play, how important it could have been when he could hold off the ball, and that worked well. But they would have been better with Dembele in the team too. So the fact that maybe they just kept playing between the end of the Ligue 1 season, then they had the French Cup final that they won the weekend after, then the weekend after the Champions League final, then pretty much all their players went away on international duties with their national teams. And then straight from the national duty to the US, they arrived on Tuesday for this competition. So there have been no holidays. Some other teams that are in the competition that you mentioned, Bayern, Real Madrid, yes, some of the players also played during the international break. But before that, some of them had 2 weeks off. Some of them already had been on holidays with, keeping fit, of course, and not just having barbecues every day, but still, they had a bit of a break. This PSG team didn't. And we were wondering on Friday on the show, would they be tired? Would they be a bit overwhelmed by everything? Would they be mentally fresh enough to go again under the heat at noon, etc., etc.? And I think they showed today that they are ready. And whoever will beat them, if somebody beats them in this competition, they will have to be very good.
Start the tournament in quite some style. 31 shots, 17 of them on target. Auckland City just with that one shot, and you can just see how seriously Vincent Kompany was taking this game. A strong starting 11 from the German champions. He was speaking afterwards saying, well, we wanted to run up a score because goal difference might be important. Jules and Frank are still with us. Frank, as a former pro, do you have any problems with this?
About what? Winning 10-0?
Yeah.
And about Olise comment? Well, you know what? No, it is called respect. I mean, it's what we do when we are professional players. If you let the game go because you have some sympathy and you don't want to, how do you say that? Will put shame on the opponent's shoulder. I think you have to do your job. And your job as a professional player is to score goals when you have to score goals. And we all know that. That's an internal rule. If you have to finish an opponent, you will finish it. And I won 10-0 against Azerbaijan with the national team. You have no thoughts whatsoever about, oh no, we should calm down. No, you do the job because you respect the opponent.
This was always going to be an issue within this competition, though, wasn't it, Jules?
Yeah, that's right. Again, we knew this was coming, especially in this game, because Auckland, to be fair, amongst all the teams, are the only one who are not fully professional. So all the players have another job. They're all right now on annual leave to be able to play in this World Cup. Some players could not even travel because they could not take time off their usual, their main work, really. So this was always going to be difficult. And then they play Benfica and they play Boca, and they probably will not score a goal in this competition. I mean, they had 5 touches in the Bayern box today, which it was 5 more than I expected, to be honest. I thought they would not even come close to the box. But 5 touches, 1 shot far away from goal, and a very low XG, but still 1 shot on target. At least they can have that. But yeah, they're going to get probably destroyed against Benfica and Boca as well. But this is also part of it. If you open this competition to the whole world, then you need the Champions League winner for this part of the world, and it's them, and hopefully this experience will make them better, but it was always going to be a very long shot.
It's interesting, their goalkeeper was talking about having to take leave from work.
Yeah.
He was saying, like, how many times in your life do you get the chance to play Boca, Benfica, and Bayern Munich?
For a number of these players, it's probably a dream just to see them play, see some of these teams play just as a fan. Then to strip off and put your strip on and play against them on the same day. And listen, for them, it's not about the scoreline. It's about the occasion. It's about kind of living some of those boyhood dreams of playing against the best in world football. And at least they're able to say that. As everybody kind of alluded to, this scoreline was probably predicted. It doesn't embarrass Auckland any. These players will leave this tournament at least with something to remember, kind of given the opponents and the fact that they were there.
Just take a look at what that means in the group. Obviously, the opening game, Bayern Munich, we're always going to be the team to beat. Boca against Benfica on Monday should be a lot of fun.
Yes, of course.
These days. 0-0 then is how it finished. Taking a look at how Group A is shaping up. Porto against Palmeiras is the game tonight. More on that in a moment, actually. So we see how Ahly and Inter play out a 1-1 draw. Jules joins us, and as does Alexis Nunes, of course, back on the balcony. Beautiful view behind us. Of course, Alexis, you've been the last couple of days talking about everything that was going on and off the pitch leading up to this opening game in the Club World Cup. Was it a success in the end?
You know what, Dan? I would say it is. It kind of felt like much ado about nothing, all the doom and gloom headlines heading into this opener, because in the end, the capacity of the Hard Rock Stadium is about just over 65,000, and the official number from FIFA in attendance last night was 61,000. So if I get my maths correctly, which is not really my strong point, that's about 93% full. Now, when we did arrive, which was a bit late because we did have to battle traffic and parking, so it was pretty close to kickoff just when the players were coming out, I did look around, and I think the thing that took me aback was the amount of empty seats. And I remember thinking, oof, if this is how the game is going to be, then it is definitely not a good look. But definitely towards halftime and the second half, the seats filled out beautifully. There was such a roar in the stadium. And even though we thought that we were going to feel the presence of the Inter Miami faithful, we do know that there's a strong Latin American stronghold in that Miami-Dade County area. We saw it last year in the Copa America final with Colombia and Argentina. I think that area is mainly Haitian, Cuban, and Colombian, so we were expecting a lot of them to come out. But really what took me aback was the amount of Egyptian fans that turned out. There were Mo Salah shirts for miles. There was a sea of red. Their ultras came out. They had the big banners. They had some drums. They were the ones that really brought the vibes. A lot of the fans that were sitting near us actually even said that they felt like they were playing a game in Cairo. So Inter Miami, even though they were hosts, they definitely were outnumbered by the Ahly fans. And in the end, unfortunately, it was a stalemate. Everyone was hoping for some Messi magic. He's the one that got all the fans out of their seats. But still, in the end, I would say it was a successful night for the opening game.
In the end, a draw, maybe slightly harsh on our Ahly, Alexis?
Yeah, massively harsh, I think, because even Javier Mascherano said it after the game. He thought that Inter Miami were too nervous and respected their opponent too much in the first half. Ahly just kind of came out of the blocks and were absolutely trying to pepper the goal. They kept shooting it straight to the keeper, but I remember we were sat there thinking, ooh, this could be a long night for Inter Miami, and once again, they're going to have to rely on some Lionel Messi magic, which of course it could have come. We saw some of those shots. We saw the free kick as well, but I think Ahly definitely wanted to show everyone that even though they may not be familiar with them, they are to be reckoned with in this tournament. They're, I think, 45-time Egyptian champions. They've won the African Champions League about 12 times. So they definitely would have gone into this game as slight favorites, knowing that Inter Miami had a lot of defensive issues. They were without the likes of Yannick Brack, Jordi Alba as well. Mascherano talked about how he had to shuffle his back line a lot. So I think they would feel a bit hard done that they didn't take advantage of Inter Miami to get a win, especially in that first half when they had them on the ropes.
An important start, though, for this tournament overall, Jules, as you mentioned, about PSG and Bayern Munich taking it seriously. The fact that you did have a good crowd and you did have an entertaining game.
Yeah, I think that the crowd I thought would be there, even if at the end they probably gave some tickets for free away to people around the stadium, which is fine. And that's why probably, like Alexis said, some people arrived quite late. But it was more the quality of the football that I think a lot of people were waiting to see between two teams that we don't expect to go really far. Even into Miami, they were not good. They're not good tactically. Ahly were a much better team overall, much better tactically, with more cohesion in their team. They've got a lot of international from Egypt, for example, some really, really experienced players there. So, but it was the quality we wanted and the spectacle, and we got that because the penalty missed, because some chances, because there should have been a red card, for Aviles that was not given by the referee in that first half. It could have changed the game and should have changed the game completely. The ref cam that got a lot of people excited. I thought it was cool, but maybe not that exciting. But still, some people got really excited. So there was a lot of really positive, really. And I think that's good. That was the perfect way to kick on the tournament.
And what's up next for you, Alexis? Is this your base now for the whole tournament, this balcony?
This balcony is my base at least for another week. We're waiting to hear from our big boss, Steve, to see when we do need to move. But tomorrow I'm off back to Orlando, the most magical place on earth, because we have a date with Bayern Munich. We're going to get to finally talk to them after that 10-0 thrashing of Auckland City. Word is I'm going to get to speak to the new signing, Jonathan Tah, as well as Serge Gnabry, who was in the headlines, but it looks like he's pledged his future to Bayern. Se queda, however you say that in German, I'm going to find out.
Good. Now, in case you've forgotten, there's been quite a hoo-ha about Christian Pulisic not playing for the US men's national team this summer. Of course, it wasn't just the Gold Cup, it was these two friendlies. He said that he wanted to play in those ties. Landon Donovan called him out, obviously, saying, where's the dedication? Why don't you want to play for your national team? Let's just take you back, shall we, to Pulisic's response, in particular to Landon Donovan.
Of all things, you can talk about my performances, whatever you want, but to question my commitment, especially towards the national team, in my opinion, that's way out of line towards the second half and towards the end of the season. Yeah, my body just started talking to me and my mind, and then I started to think what is best and what is going to be best for me leading into next year and going into the World Cup. And was that to play 8 more games and then get no rest at all, go straight into preseason and then grind another year and go straight into the World Cup? That's not what I felt was best for my body. But the only point that I would make with that is that I did want to be a part of at least the 2 friendlies. I did speak with the coaches and I asked, and I wanted to be a part of the team in whatever capacity I could. And they said no. They said they only wanted 1 roster, and that's coach's decision. I fully respect that. I didn't understand it, but it is what it is. I wanted to be a part of that.
Player no need to understand or not understand. Player need to listen and to stick with our plan. They cannot dictate the plan, because if not, okay, we swap the position. No, when I signed my contract in the federation, I am the head coach. I am not a mannequin, you know. And look, that is how we are, and that is my culture about football. I grew up with a ball in mind, and I know very well. He explained why he only wanted to be involved in 2 games and not in the World Cup. And that is very, I respect and I understand him. But I don't need that he understand our decision, because my position is, I am 53 with a lot of experience in football, in soccer, and I was player before coach. And if you want to understand, I think it's really obvious. It's easy to understand that I want a roster to prepare 2 games, because for me, the Gold Cup is a really important competition.
Jules and Frank with us. Shaq, I want to start with you. What do you make of Pochettino's response?
Odd.
Is it not honest?
No, it's honest, but odd because it's not needed. Listen, I get it. Christian Pulisic said or feels his body needs a rest, both physically and mentally. He felt he needed a break. And that's totally fine. He then calls the coaching staff and says, well, I could probably feature in the 2 friendlies, but I'd prefer not to play the entire Gold Cup. Again, I think he's well within his rights to say that. I totally understand that. Now, Pochettino's position is, we're going into the Gold Cup. I'm using these 2 friendlies as a warm-up to the Gold Cup. If you're not in the Gold Cup, then why play the friendlies? Mm-hmm. I'm going to use the squad that I'm going into the Gold Cup with. And that's it. That's as simple as it is. So I say odd because he goes into detail that I don't think is at all necessary. Talking about he's 53, he used to be a coach and then a player.
But isn't it good to hear him say, look, I don't need the players to understand my decision. It's my decision. Shut up. I'm in
say
charge.
that. And my point is, just say that. That is exactly his position. It is his decision who he takes into those friendlies, given that they're rolling right into the Gold Cup. You don't need to say any more than that. That's your coach's position. And I just feel, and in Pochettino's defense, that kind of long answer and detail to it is born out of this kind of back and forth that's been going on for the last few weeks that really shouldn't involve Pochettino. You have ex-players casting these criticisms at Pulisic, him answering back, and all of a sudden Pochettino feels that he needs to be a little bit more elaborate in his explanations than I think is needed. And then but by doing that, I think you're putting things on the record that may very well come back to haunt you. I don't know how or when, but the fact remains, you're going into a Gold Cup, you have 2 friendlies right before, you play the squad that's going into the Gold Cup. End of story. There's nothing more that needs to be said there.
Frank?
Yeah, I think when you give too much explanations, it's when you have to justify yourself. And he doesn't need to. As Shaka said, he's the head coach. And therefore, you just make a statement. I say what I say, and Pulisic has to listen to me. We have a medical staff who decides whether he has to come or not. And we decided that he had to come. He didn't want, so I took my decision. Bye-bye, that's it. But no need to go in too much deeply into explanations. Otherwise, again, you justify yourself and you put yourself in a position where you're not sure your decision can be the right decision. And you open a door, so it's useless for me.
Jules, we know you've just moved into a new house. Do you think you'd be using the same fan setup that Pulisic has, which still, I see that video and I don't quite know how that works?
Definitely not. I'm not a fan guy anyway, to be fair. And which is true. How can Christian Pulisic want to decide what games he's playing for the national team? Where have we seen this before? You don't decide, oh, I want to play this game, I don't fancy this game. I would like to be there, not for this though. This is not what players do, I'm sorry. This is not how it works. And then for him to say he didn't understand why Pochettino didn't just select him for the 2 friendlies and not for the Gold Cup. Well, it's not hard to understand why that was not on. 1, because you don't choose your games. 2, because as the boys just explained, you've got a squad and you've got 2 friendlies to prepare for the Gold Cup and then the Gold Cup. You're not going to have different players just for the 2 friendlies and then a different roster for the Gold Cup. What's so hard to understand if you're Christian Pulisic? And that's why I think Pochettino got really rattled by I didn't understand why the coaches didn't pick me for the 2 friendlies. And that's when he went into such a lengthy response, really. Where I agree with Xhaka, he didn't need to really, but I think he got really rattled by Pulisic saying that he didn't understand why he was not picked for the 2 friendlies.
Mathys Tel is officially now a Tottenham Hotspur player. The youngster, of course, moved in January on loan. That is now a completed deal. Jules and Frank are with us. Jules, I can't even remember. Last season seems a long way away. Did Tel play for Spurs last season?
He played 20 games.
Did he?
In all competitions. That he arrived in January. Yeah, he scored 3 goals and gave 1 assist, which is maybe not the numbers that the club expected, that Pochettino expected, that probably Mathys himself expected. He had really a lot of high hopes and high ambition when he arrived at Spurs. Remember, we talked about it on the show, but he didn't really want to go first. He would rather have gone to United. Then United didn't want to pay the €5 million loan fee, so they were off. And then he got convinced really by Pochettino to join Spurs, so he joined Spurs. And yeah, it wasn't great. So I was a little bit surprised that Spurs pushed so hard to sign him, yet at a discount fee, because instead of the 60 million buyout clause that he had, they went down to 40 million. So 40 million for a young player with a lot of potential. He's only just turned 20. So there's a great player there in the making potentially. But still, I agree with you in the sense that I think a lot of people won't really remember much what Mathys Tel did for Spurs in the last 6 months.
So, Jules, obviously they've seen something within him that they think it's worth paying what is a lot of money, particularly for Spurs at the moment, given what they need to do with their squad with a new manager coming in.
Yeah, you're right. But if you look at the wide players, you've got Odobert on one side, who they also paid a lot of money for him from Burnley a year ago, who plays with Mathys Tel with the under-21s right now, with France under-21 at the Euros. And then Heung-min Son has that year extension that was triggered by the club. He's getting older, not the player that he used to be. You've got Brian Johnson, who I think Thomas Frank would rather use maybe more centrally, and with Dominic Solanke. So they felt they needed a wide player to be in the squad, because Timo Werner is leaving the club as well. So they needed another player there, and they really believed in him. And I think Thomas Frank saw the potential, and think I can make him better, like I did with some of the players I had at Brentford, for example. We know Thomas Frank is very good like that, improving players individually, and they were ready for it. If you're Bayern, though, you bought him for less than 30 million euros 3 seasons ago in 2022, and now it's a really good profit that you made on him.
Frank, what would you like to say?
That is not the first time that I'm surprised about a transfer fee nowadays, and the betting on some players that you make. But we have to give a chance to the product, He plays for the under-21 French national team, so I guess he has qualities. It was hard to judge him last season because of the mess that Spurs showed most of the games, especially in the Premier League. So let's see how it works. Maybe it's going to be a great surprise. I wish him the best. And I don't want to judge now, because we didn't have enough times to judge him.
Your feelings, meanwhile, on Gattuso being named the manager of Italy, of course, coming in and taking over a side who are just all over the place at the moment. He is it was a short list, and then we found some more. Gattuso then joins a number of players who have won the World Cup, looking to inspire, of course, what is somewhat of a deflated squad at the moment, Jules.
Yeah, difficult time for Italy, who started so poorly the qualifiers for the World Cup in 2026. Remember, they missed the last 2 World Cup already, and this time the whole world is going to qualify pretty much. So they will be there in one way or another. But that defeat away in Norway 3-0, that cost his place to Spalletti. It was such a terrible start. Is Gattuso the right guy to lead this team? If you look at his record as a coach, as a head coach, whether that was in Marseille, for us with Frank, we saw him very closely. That didn't work out. Even in Croatia last season, with that Duke split, that didn't work out. They finished third in the table. So I'm not sure. I mean, certainly at club level, he hasn't been that great as a coach. Let's see, maybe international football will suit him better and his personality and the way he manages. But I think it's a big gamble from Italy.
How's the Gab and Jules podcast going to work, Jules, with Gab out and about in the States?
He will have to get up at 5:30 a.m., Dan.
Yes.
And I'll be in the studio easy at 10:30, you know.
Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you very much for your questions. For the guys, happy Father's Day. How are you celebrating this year? Frank? Is it Father's Day in France?
Nothing. I don't. Yeah, no, my kids call me and I don't care. Yeah, we celebrated, but I don't pay attention to that commercial day, you know. Father's Day is good, Father's Day is boring.
Oh,
Boring Father's Day.
Well, no.
That's terrible, Frank.
He doesn't let Hallmark dictate when he can
I
celebrate
love
his
Father's Day.
Really, Shaq?
Yeah, I do.
Well, how did you celebrate?
My kids made me breakfast this morning.
Really?
Yeah.
What sort of breakfast?
We
Not
had...
Stevie
That's why he
Nicholson?
likes it.
yeah. So we had some beans, Vienna sausages.
Nice.
Poached eggs.
Right.
Hollandaise sauce. It was
Out of
beautiful.
the scratch?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Very much so.
And were there
yeah,
presents
so-
involved? Shut up, Frank. And were there presents
A
involved?
couple of little presents,
What did you
yeah.
get? What were your presents?
I got some golf shirts because you know my golf game is coming along very nicely.
And you were saying the
Dan.
problem with your golf game was your shirts.
Yes, that's
They
what
were-
that's what I was missing.
They were holding you back.
That's exactly what I was missing. But no more, Dan.
Oh, nice.
No more.
Nice. What about in the Laurent household, Jules?
It was lovely. I had breakfast as well made by the kids, but mine is more healthier than Shaka's. I had scrambled eggs, avocado, salmon. You know, no sausages, no beans in our house.
Yeah. No,
It's okay. And then we went to see Lilo and Stitch at the cinema, which is lovely.
Oh, fantastic.
beautiful.
Brilliant. It is, apparently. Did you get any presents,
What
Jules?
about you, Dan?
I'm talking to Jules a moment. Calm down. Did you get any presents, Jules?
I don't care.
I got some socks with the names of the kids. My younger
In case you forgot.
Yeah, that was lovely.
Hey,
What
that-
about you, Dan?
we went for brunch this morning, lovely. Went for brunch, and then I got one of those blankets, which are always cold. You know me, Shaq, I run hot.
What?
So we'll see how that works tonight.
So is it? So you're all happy because in fact, your kids served you today. That's how you
Well, no one
celebrate
served me, Frank.
Father's Day.
I paid for the brunch.
I love Father's Day.
Well, that's just normal. That's just normal.
I
But
felt
the
so
two others,
grumpy.
I
shame
don't
on
know
you.
what's up with Frank.
I don't know.
Are you missing us, Frank? Why are you in a bad?
I'm not
He's
gonna be
jealous.
happy because your kid served you breakfast. Come on. You know, get up and prepare your breakfast on your own.
Wow, I don't know what's happened to Frank.
Wow. What?
Is it just because Jules looks better in his outfit than Frank does?
That's
I think that's it.
Is there a Scrooge for
Maybe.
Father's Day? Is there a Father's Day Scrooge? That's Frank.
Well, Frank is very much fulfilled
Frank
that
is
role.
Father's Day Scrooge.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. For all, you criticised the new Champions League format. All wrong. Now criticising the Club World Cup, saying no one would take it seriously. Wrong again.
Yeah.
Are you allergic to all things new? It takes us back to the Industrial Revolution, Shaq.
What?
Do you remember that?
No.
So Luddites would smash up all the new technology, all the new machines, because they are worried that new fandangled things were coming in and taking their jobs. So are we the Luddites of the footballing world?
I guess so, Dad.
There we go.
I freely admit I was a cynic about both the new Champions League format.
Yes.
Well, let me say I was a cynic. I wanted to see how the new Champions League format would work. I just didn't know. I was certainly cynical about the Club World Cup and attendances and whether teams would take it seriously. Both have been outstanding so far this tournament. So I hold my hand up. I was wrong about that at the very least.
Frank, are you allergic to all things new? You're the oldest one by quite a while on this panel.
I know, but I'm proud of that, you know, because I'm the guy in the most shape, you know, whatever. The thing is,
Frank's gonna start too.
You know what? I'm not allergic to all things new because I love the fact that the referee speaks to us. For example, that's a new thing, and explain, why he gave a penalty or why he didn't give or disallowed a goal.
Oh,
so that's a new thing,
Frank.
and
That's
I enjoyed
boring.
it today.
Why do you need an explanation? Can't you see? Why do you need an explanation?
No, of course, but. No, because some people don't know nothing about football, but
you
give
do.
their
You
opinion
do. So
about
why
it.
does that excite you?
Oh, no, because that's good for the others. I didn't say it was good for me. I think I like it because people can have the right explanation, not for me. Because, of course, as you say, I know, but for the others who are completely ignorant but think they know everything, it's a very good thing to do.
Did you like ref cam, Frank? Did that excite you?
What did I like? What?
Ref cam.
What is that?
Oh, he didn't even... The camera that's strapped to the referee so you
Referee
can
had a
see their
camera on.
point of view.
Oh, no, they look like cops, that doesn't look good for me.
All right, Frank, let's not bring up that again. Jules?
Boy.
What, are you allergic to new things, Jules?
No, but I was always positive about the new Champions League format, and I think on Friday I was positive about this Club World Cup as well.
Jules,
I don't know where. Yeah, no, not just me. I think we were quite positive on Friday night reviewing the Club World Cup.
This isn't from me. Would Manchester United, Shaka, beat Auckland City?
That's mean. That's mean.
Wow.
Best question ever.
Boy.
Frank, as a player, what personal belongings did you take on a foreign trip?
What?
So is there anything that you'd always take? Obviously, before you
The
didn't...
toiletry bag. That's it.
That was all you needed.
My passport.
Thank you, Stevie.
That helps. That does help.
But there was no little... Like, would you have a family picture that you put by your bedside?
No, Dad.
No?
Well, Frank didn't have one. Father's Day.
He hates his family.
Scrooge. Yeah. Father's Day Scrooge didn't have anything with his family on there.
Frank, was there something that you would take on trips?
Not really.
No.
No. Nothing special. No.
Just a picture of yourself.
Working out.
Exactly. Holding
Picture of yourself at the
holding
gym.
the World Cup. Of course.
World Cup in one. The other. I think
You
we...
see, like that, like that,
There he is. God, the European Championship does look a bit like an urn.
It does.
It's not the best look. I think we can all see that teams are definitely taking this tournament seriously. By the time the knockout stages come, will European fans be engaged? I think they will, won't they, Jules?
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will probably before that. We said if you look at all the groups, there are two strong teams in each group and maybe two slightly weaker side and some much weaker for sure. But the knockout stage should be very exciting, really. And I think again, we said it on Friday, but the interest would grow. Like I think the public in stadiums, that would grow. Probably people watching on TV, that would grow as well. It's a busy time in the US sports-wise as well. You had the US Open of golf, you've got the NHL final, you've got the baseball season going on, the NBA finals going on. So there's also a lot of competition just purely on the US side of it. For Europe, it's also the summer. We're not used to have a competition right now outside of Euros or World Cup. So it will take a bit of time, but it will grow for sure.
Frank?
Yeah, I agree. It's all about, having big games like today with Paris Saint-Germain, for example, and avoiding, I'm sorry, with all due respect to Auckland, but games where we all really know what is going to be the result with a big score line. So, it's going to come, when they're going to start big games. I want to see Paris Saint-Germain against Real Madrid. I want to see Mbappe against Paris Saint-Germain. That's exciting, don't you think?
Yeah, most definitely. A bit of Trent action as well. Jules, will PSG win the Club World Cup?
Yeah, I think they have a big chance. Really, like they are right now. I don't see a team that is better than them. Even without Dembele, as we said tonight, against an Atletico side that tried to do Atletico things and play quite deep and defend, and they were blown away. And the score, to be fair, could have been much bigger than that. Even a solo should score, but before that, Kvaratskhelia hit the woodwork, and PSG took it easy in the second half, really. So they are very good. Let's see the knockout stages, because by then, again, I fear a little bit the fact that those players had 0 holidays. This PSG squad had no time off since pretty much July.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. PSG, they
year.
could take the first 3 months off from Ligue 1 and they still win it.
You know what I mean, though. I think physically they look sharp tonight. I'm not sure if they'll be sharp again in 2 weeks' time.
There we go. What is it? Is it Love that's next to you, Jules?
Is it Love that what?
That's next to you over your left shoulder.
Oh yeah, this is new because you complained for my.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Just to make sure.
Just for you, Daniel.
There you
Love
are.
it in the air.
Amor is in French.
Thanks, Dan.
That's just let you know.
Just learn Spanish first before you start.
Well done.
Well, that's
worrying about
French.
French.
Amour.
Before you start worrying about French is what I'm saying.
Frank would have thrown that in the bin.
Yeah.
Nice.
You put a dumbbell up there.
Shaka, should CONCACAF consider hosting the Gold Cup in different member countries outside the US?
I've been seeing.
Such
Go ahead.
as a Caribbean Gold Cup.
Sure.
Would you be interested in travelling to the Caribbean to cover the tournament?
I mean, just travel to the Caribbean for
Of
any
course.
reason at all. No, here's my thing. I've been saying this for quite some time. I think the CONCACAF missed a beat in at least hosting group stages outside of the US. Certainly when there were 3 groups of 4, you could have one in the Caribbean, one in Central America, one in North America. And then you have the quarterfinals, semis, and finals here in the US. I think the market is bigger in the US for the later stages of the tournament. But I felt that a long time ago they should have been hosting group stage games outside of North America.
And would you be interested in travelling there to cover these events?
I'll give it some thought, Dan.
Really, yes.
Well,
I mean, you'd have to leave my side.
Well, but you know, if that's what the job demands,
Right,
Dan,
that's where you are.
I'm company man first.
Any last messages, Frank?
Look at Frank.
Any last messages for the elder fathers in the world, Frank, from you on their special day?
Nothing, Matt. No, nothing. I will keep it personal. I know what you're thinking about, but I'm not sharing it, you know?
I don't think you do.
I have no idea what I'm thinking.
That is it. We will be back tomorrow. Oh, it's after the US.
Oh!
Angry Seb is hosting tomorrow.
Oh, boy.
Fear not.